According to Adam Schefter, Mike Tomlin is reportedly a big fan of Justin Fields, and could the Pittsburgh Steelers be a destination that Justin Fields ends up on if the Bears do look to trade him? We're going to talk a little bit about that and what these Steelers could offer the Chicago Bears in a trade for Justin Fields. We're also going to talk overall about why Adam Schefter's reports should always be taken with a grain of salt. All that plus a mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So according to Adam Schefter, he says this: Mike Tomlin's a big fan of Justin Fields. We'll keep that in mind during the offseason in the coming weeks. Now, with that said, we know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are definitely looking into bringing in a new quarterback. They just released a former Chicago Bear, Mitch Trubisky, with that, and they aren't going to trust the new position to Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph, it does not seem, in 2024. So with that said, it's expected that the Steelers are going to look to make a move for a quarterback. Now, if that ends up being a move that they look like for Justin Fields, for Justin Fields, what would that deal kind of look like from the perspective of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now, the last time the Bears and the Steelers made a trade, it was for Chase Claypool, which that just did not work. That was in change for a second-round pick, which they definitely got the better end of the stick on that matter. And when you look at it with Justin Fields, I would say that at the bare minimum, the Bears are going to want Pittsburgh's second-round pick, which is the 51 overall pick in this upcoming draft. And what does that do for the Chicago Bears? The Bears, who do not hold a second-round pick in this draft, right? That can put them back in the second round and get them even better talent at some positions of need. Of course, they then go on to have 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and 2 third-round picks. And that's a lot of capital to really kind of do something meaningful in if the Chicago Bears do truly look to move on from Justin Fields. Now, there's, of course, questions and doubts around that still right now. As I've told you guys, anybody who says they know exactly what the Bears are going to do, they just lying to you. But the Pittsburgh Steelers now join teams that we've heard that could be interested in the Atlanta Falcons, which makes a lot of sense. We understand there. And recently, the Tennessee Titans have also been mentioned as teams that could look to be in on the market for Justin Fields if the Bears do decide to make him available. We also talked about earlier, if that does happen, he's not going to be moved until like March 15th, right? Between March 13th, March 15th is probably when Justin Fields will be traded, if he's traded at all. But, when it comes down to it, this is another team that's interested in Fields reportedly. And we've heard, things up and down, that market could be big for Justin Fields. We heard that, they could be playing teams against each other. And this just could come down once again, Ryan Poles playing the chess that he always plays with other teams in the NFL. But while Adam Schefter has been talking a lot about the Chicago Bears recently, let's keep in mind, everything that Adam Schefter has said so far about the Bears has basically been presented in the light that, what he's heard from other teams, what he's heard from, other people that think they know what the Chicago Bears are going to do and things like that. So let's not take everything as like a for sure thing, even when it comes from Schefter, who's one of the most locked in NFL analysts. But, he's even the way that he's presented, right? He's never, in my mind, and in what he said, really presented it as, hey, this is for sure what the Bears are going to do. This is what I've heard. This is what I've been told. It's more so like, hey, I'm hearing that this could be one of those options, and I respect the reporting like that. We'll see what eventually comes out of it, if Justin Fields is eventually moved or not. But like I said, take everything kind of with a grain of salt to a certain degree, and that's just what most of the reports are. But when it comes down to it, like, again, the Bears will be weighing, as I've said before, really everything that they can get back. When you really look at the trade for last year's number 1 overall pick, we're not even done knowing exactly what we got back in that. In the short term right now, we got DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, right? We got all of that from that on top of the first overall pick in this year's draft. We don't know what that's going to be. We still have a 2025 second-round draft pick that we can get on top of all of that. So the Bears already have gotten so much back from just trading the 2023 number 1 overall pick. And when you look at the fact that we got this year's number 1 overall pick in that year's draft too, the story's still being written on exactly what all that draft compensation that we got back is really going to look like for the Chicago Bears. So, we'll see if the Bears do look to move on or move the number 1 overall pick, or that's moved on from Justin Fields. There's been some signs and things, both sides. I think more so recently, even when you hear and pair it with Brad Biggs, that the Bears are preparing for life without Justin Fields. Even maybe some of his teammates who really have backed and supported him are preparing for, hey, if the Bears do move on from Justin Fields, and that's what everybody needs to do. Ryan Poles, if we're going to trust him, is going to make the best decision that he feels is for the team, and that's what you want your GM to do. It's not about being tied and locked in with any one player. It's about making the best and right decisions that you feel are for your team. And, we'll see what happens of it. We all as fans have our things that we would love to see the team do. You guys know I would like to see the team continue building this team out, especially now with the new offensive coordinator, get another weapon, shore up that offensive line. I'd like to see Justin Fields get an opportunity to stay, but it's not about what me or what anybody else would want. It's about what Ryan Poles in his evaluation sees as the best scenario for the Chicago Bears to have a successful team going forward. And that's really what you want to look at it as, right? Yeah, the Bears, the number one overall pick this year isn't because of the Bears record. It's because we got the Carolina Panthers pick. The Bears would have been drafting 9th overall, which still sits at a place where you're not great, but sits at a place where if you make the right moves this offseason, the Bears can have well of enough, to make a playoff push. And then when you look at the opponents that we have, we're going to be facing the Arizona Cardinals away this year. We don't know exactly. We're going to be facing the Carolina Panthers at home, which is going to be funny enough to see that. Of course, we got the Detroit Lions. Of course, we got the Green Bay Packers. Of course, we got the Minnesota Vikings. We'll also be facing the Texans away. That'll be an away game. The Indianapolis Colts, that's going to be another way. I may actually go to that game, considering that's like a 3-hour drive. Don't be surprised with that. We're also going to be facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 9-7 on the season. The Rams, who were 9-7 on the season as well. So we're going to have a really decent record this year, and this is going to be another one where, hey, if the Bears can, step up a lot in big time, we'll see what ends up happening, man. So, they got a lot of decisions that they got to make in front of them, and we'll see what that ends up happening, how that ends up turning out for the Bears. But hey, it is what it is. But with that said, the Bears got to make some key decisions in free agency. But we have 2 players here that were on Bleacher Report's list of players that the Bears need to avoid in the 2024 free agency. And the first one up was Kendrick Bourne. Now, this is a veteran wide receiver. He did have an ACL tear in week 8 of last season. And, while you may be able to get him for cheap, considering he's coming back from ACL, you got to have some questions on that, right? He had 2 400-yard seasons with the New England Patriots after a 800-yard season in 2021. His production has dropped off since then. The injury concerns, and I just don't see the Bears really going after it. I understand why they have him on this list. I just don't really see him fitting in the mold of the Bears target, considering what they're going to try to bring. And the next one up is Mekhi Becton. This guy has played solidly in 2023. He's offensive tackle. He can also play on some on the inside as well. Could the Bears look to bring him in as a depth? Maybe. But with the injury concerns, his injury list is about as bad as Anthony Davis is in the NBA. You kind of want to avoid that, and I do think the Bears are going to try to avoid players with long injury histories and concerns around them as they try to continue to build out this team and develop it. And so I don't see the Bears going after that. And, I understand why Bleacher Report had these 2 players on their list of players that the Bears should avoid in 2024, because what are they really going to bring? What would they really bring to the team, right? That's the biggest question in this. And so you definitely want to avoid that if you can. And we'll see what the Bears end up doing. I think when it comes down to it, this is going to be a really exciting offseason. A really exciting offseason for the Bears, outside of what they do with the number 1 overall pick, outside of what they do with Justin Fields. It's going to be interesting just because of how do you help strengthen up the things that started being your strengths toward the end of the season. And could you take advantage of get some of the players from the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs? Because listen, they're going to have some difficulty really re-signing everybody, considering where they are cap-wise. And so the Bears could look to take advantage of that. You guys know I've talked about Chris Jones, not heavily, but I've touched about him a little bit when it comes down to what the Bears could look to do in the offseason, how to shore up that defensive line. Now, that's going to take some serious money if the Bears are going to go that route. That's not to say that they won't necessarily, but, we'll see what the Bears end up doing. I don't feel too confident one way or another when it comes down to it, but, we'll see, man. And ultimately, it comes down to this. This is going to be an offseason of change for the Chicago Bears. There's going to be a lot of change happening over there. We've already seen the total revamp of the offensive staff. That's going to be enough change in of itself. But then you got the players, you got the quarterback, you got new weapons coming in, hopefully new members of that offensive line coming in. We got a new system in total, and just a style and way of running it. So we'll see what's going to happen with the Bears. I'm really looking forward, as I know many Bears fans are, looking forward to what this season can be for the Chicago Bears, but it comes first through the offseason, and we'll see what the Bears can bring in that. Now, with that said, I got 2 voicemails. The mailbag is starting to get a little filled up again, so I want to get into these. This first voicemail, this one is from ECH Bears fan.
Hey, this is the ECH Bears fan. I'm getting really tired of this conversation about what we need to do with Caleb and Justin. I'll get to that in a minute. First things first, Jalen Johnson. I think they should give him 4 years, 19.75, and give him incentives. $500K per game over 12 played since he hasn't made a full season. Make it so that he's there and he gets paid for every game he makes if he can make it a full season. Something like that with some incentives. Now, Caleb Williams. That boy sold out to the woke feminization of men, wearing dresses at GQ photo shoots and fashion shows and painting his nails. He sold out to the Illuminati. All right, Brian Urlacher, he's one. Hate to say it, but he is, and that's why he's using his talking points. All these guys are saying what they need to say about Caleb because they're told to do so. Because Caleb's their guy, and they want to push him out to the front because he sold out. Justin is the one we should be sticking with because he needs the tools to succeed, and he will do so if he stays. Caleb ain't going to be nothing but a problem, and he's damn near a midget for a quarterback. That's all I have to say. Chicago up, Bear down.
All right, so as far as Jalen Johnson's contract that you presented there, I think that's a fair contract. I don't know if they'll do incentives for every game. If they do, shout out to Jalen Johnson. That could push that contract up pretty high, but Jalen is going to get paid. And I really hope that the Bears get this done and re-sign him and don't have to worry about franchise tagging him or anything like that or transition tagging him. Let's just get the deal done. Come to the table with your best offer, with one of the young pieces that grew and developed on this team to keep that young cornerback core together, and then let's see what we got after that, right? So that's what I'll think on it. Now, as far as your other parts, Caleb Williams sold out to the I don't care about any of that. Like, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. The wearing dresses, the fingernail painting, all that shit, yeah, it looks crazy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not looking at that saying, hey, yeah, let's do more of that. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. I care about what's happening on the football field. That's what I care about. If you make the right decision and it gets the Bears wins on the football field, that is the only thing that matters to me. I don't give a damn if Caleb Williams is painting his goddamn toenails in the locker room before every single game. I don't care if Justin Fields is doing it. If they come out and they get the Chicago Bears wins, that's what I care about. All the extra conversation and stuff around it and the character things and stuff like that, I understand why that's conversations around it. And I know that Ryan Poles is definitely going to look at character. I don't know if wearing a dress and painting your fingernails are things Ryan Poles is going to look to evaluate, but he is going to look at the character aspect of anybody that he's drafting to this team. That's in everyone that he signs, whatever. He's going to look at the character as they're trying to build a culture here. That's the thing that matters the most to me. All the other crap, I get it, and I understand that, but here's my thing. Rather than focusing on Caleb Williams painting his fingernails or not, I'd rather focus on the shortcomings that he has and the strengths that he has on the football field to make that determination. That's what I care about the most. Now, the thing that you did saying that is that he is short. He definitely is short at the quarterback position, much shorter than Justin Fields. Now, you got to look at how successful are shorter quarterbacks in the NFL. There are legitimate questions around that, right? Also, some of the decision making that he has in time. Sometimes he kind of forces to make the big play, and it ends up getting in turnovers. He is also turnover prone like Justin Fields. That's why when I have these conversations about, Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, I especially with other people, it's like if you try to present Caleb Williams as this perfect prospect, I can tell you're just listening to narratives and not actually looking at the football that happens on the field. He is far from that. There are a lot of overlap with Justin Fields' shortcomings with Caleb Williams' shortcomings. The thing that this front office has to look at the most in their determination and what they're going to do is, do they think that Justin or Caleb Williams is going to be the one that has the greater chance of overcoming where their shortcomings are on the football field? That's what I care about. I get it. It's a fun thing to talk about. C-Dub harpens on it and things like that. But that's what I care about the most is on the football field. What do you bring? I don't give a damn if you got a contact, an eyelash, a goddamn, you have your eyebrows arched. I don't give a shit. I mean, that's pushing it a little too far. But I don't care in the grand scheme of things about any of that. Can you get this team to be a winning? Can you quarterback this team enough to win us football games? And if you can, I'm going to rock with you. That's what it comes down to. And so we'll see what it comes down to. I have my leaning. I would love to see Justin Fields get an opportunity with this new offensive staff and improvements on the team to see what he can be. But if the Ryan Poles decides to go in a different direction, just get the guy who could win us football games. That's it to me. And I'm not to say that you aren't right for having your concerns. You're absolutely right for having every concern that you have and your standpoint. Just when it comes down to me, because much like you, I'm tired of the conversation. I'm tired of everything else around it. I'm just ready for this decision to be made, which is still a couple of months away from it, for this decision to be made and for us to know what the fuck who's going to be the quarterback of this team. That's all I care about at this point. That's all I care about, and how we're going to continue to build this out to be a winning franchise. That's what I care about. I'm a Bears fan first. Let's be a winning franchise. Whatever shape that takes, let's get there. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Tyrese.
What up, family? Listen, man, this is boy Tyrese calling from Arkansas. Let me try to help some of the fans dead in some of this noise so we get a little better clarity of what's going on. Ryan Poles is a Justin Fields supporter. He gonna continue to not show his hand doing what he's doing. Justin Fields, I already know he will be a Chicago Bear in the next couple of years. But anyway, check this out. A lot of people was tripping on Matt Eberflus. Y'all got to think about this. Ryan Poles came in and took away all his man defensive chips and all these leaders such as Roquan, Khalil, even Quinn. You dig what I'm saying? And he gave Matt Eberflus absolutely nothing to work with. Last year, people were talking about Justin Fields was going to be, an MVP? And now they're saying that he's not even worth the second-round draft pick today because, as we all know, like y'all been discussing, that people don't even watch the Bears like we do and always have their input, the media, and this, and that, and the third. So, with all that being said, I need y'all to understand, because of what Ryan Poles took away from Matt Eberflus, and still Matt Eberflus was able to keep that team together, turn that defense around with hardly nothing but draft picks that he'd been acquiring. He gave him a second chance to be the head coach. Matt Eberflus will be our head coach at least for the next 2 years because of those reasons. He's giving him a way to win with a better team that he's getting through the draft. And as far as the quarterback, if Justin Fields don't show us nothing this year, from with the weapons he will be able to put around him and a defense that he should have is going to be absolutely ferocious and tenacious, then next year we can use the draft capital that we've been acquiring to go get the next best quarterback, because it will be one coming out next year. We can move on up in the draft. So we still set up pretty good. Ryan Poles is playing chess while everybody out here playing checkers. So until then, Chicago up, bear the fuck down.
All right, so here's what I'll say with that. I understand what you're getting at, but the way that I view it in this is that I don't want my GM and Ryan Poles to be not to say that I don't want him to support his players, but I don't want him to be. And keep in mind, I'm a guy who wants to see Justin Fields stay on this team, but I will even say I don't want Ryan Poles to be so tied into a player that he can't make objective decisions. I don't want that. I don't want that to be the case for any player on this team. I want Ryan Poles to be able to make objective decisions about what this team is going to be, regardless if he likes a player or not. And I think Ryan Poles has done that. I definitely think Ryan Poles has done that. That's not to say he hasn't done that before, but I definitely think that he has. Now, as far as your point on Flus, here's what I'll say. Ryan Poles didn't take anything away from Flus. Flus never coached those players, right? They were gone before his first official season started. And keep in mind, Flus knew he was coming into a rebuilding situation. I have no doubts that they let Matt Eberflus know those exact plans coming into that they were going to get rid of those veterans. We all knew it. The writing was on the wall, right? So Matt Eberflus better goddamn well had been known it and understood that's what was going to come via him taking over this coaching job, because it was always going to happen. So I get what you're saying on that, but I think ultimately it came down to Ryan. This team has made improvements. It did. It over doubled our wins from the prior season. And the defense, now that you have Montez Sweat there, that you now set in those anchors of those young pieces, now you want to see what he's going to look at. But best believe, they're still looking at Matt Eberflus. Anytime it takes 2 days of deliberating to decide if you're going to keep your head coach, there are enough voices in that front office and in that staff, I believe, whether it's Ryan Poles or anybody else, that are questioning if Matt Eberflus is the guy for this team. And he'll have another opportunity to prove it. They've eliminated a lot of those questions with bringing in a more formidable offensive staff. They also have brought people all up and down on both sides of the ball that have been assistant head coaches as well for teams. So now they've really strengthened up those coordinators for them with people who've been veterans and have been around the NFL for a while. So let's see now what Matt Eberflus can do with an overall solid staff and let's see what this team could be. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Chicago Bears Central. Make sure you guys are following the show at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.